Is Shane Dawson an empath or a narcissist? Is he a piece of shit or just misunderstood? Let's find out. Hi guys, it's Alyssa and welcome back to my channel, The Divine Venus, where I put out a video every day in the month of January. Yes, you heard that correctly. Every day you will get a video this month from me. We're going to do an assortment of videos, but one of my main series this month is going to be YouTuber chart readings. So that's a series, YouTuber chart readings. If you have a cooler name for that, let me know in the comments and I will change it because I'm not feeling super clever. I have put some charts up on my Discord that is connected to my Patreon. If you are interested in continuing any discussion about YouTuber charts or what makes a YouTuber want to be a YouTuber. If you want to join my discussion, sign up on my Patreon. It is $2 a month and you get immediately connected to my Discord where you can discuss all different topics with me and other people who are interested in astrology just like you. We're doing Shane Dawson first. He's had a relatively crazy year in 2020. Relatively. We're going to talk a little bit about stuff about Shane. Shane is a real person. I know we forget stuff like that. There's a lot of things about him. There's a lot of, not just speculation. There's like real shit that's been dragged up that we can see visually with our eye spaces about Shane. I'm not interested in judging anyone right now. All I want to do is kind of interpret who Shane really is. Because I've seen a lot of people talk about how Shane always says he's an empath, but no, he's a narcissist. And to me, that's weird because like a lot of empaths can easily become narcissists. It's not like you have to be one or the other. You can be both. And I wanted to see like what's happening with Shane. Like what is he really like? What's making him tick? What drives him? Okay. Those are the most important things for me. I don't care too much about other things. I want to know about a YouTuber because the thing with YouTubers is we make them famous. They're not Hollywood stars. Okay, they were not pushed into the limelight from privilege. A lot of YouTubers, especially someone like Shane, he wasn't born famous. He created his own image for better or for worse. And a lot of people followed him. I want to investigate it. I want to look into it. So Shane's my first because he's kind of the biggest deal, I guess, of 2020. Infamous or famous, it doesn't matter to me right now. We're looking at the chart and we're going to try to do it as objectively as possible. There's a lot of drama shit on him and other videos that you can watch if you're into just sort of hating on someone and refusing to look deeper. So the first thing we're going to do is screen record this shit. Okay, so I looked up Shane Dawson. I Googled him already. I go to astro.com to get the birth chart just because there's this Rodden rating. You can see how good the chart time is, okay? Because the birth time really matters. For anyone who's into astrology but doesn't really know a lot about the natal chart, the birth time matters. And if you don't have an accurate birth time, you really don't want to be reading the houses. Shane has a C. That's good. Why does he have a C? We can look. The source notes say that Shane himself quoted on Twitter, Virgo moon and Cancer rising, a double Cancer, in reply to the question, what's your moon and rising? Full name, date, year, and place in Los Angeles, gives him a rectified approximate time. Now I put this in my own chart database, which is just astro.com. I don't use software because I don't really need to. You don't need to either. This is free. Anybody can search this shit up. So that's what I like to do. So here he is. Now, you might be able to tell, I put him at his 5:30 a.m. because I didn't totally like the rectified time. If you look at the rectified time here, he has a Pisces midheaven, which he might have. I'm not saying, I don't know. But for me, what it kind of looks like is that he has an Aries midheaven. He could have a Pisces midheaven with Mars conjunct. There's a lot of different things that could go on, but the chances of him being born exactly at 5 a.m. are very slim. So I was kind of fucking with it a little bit, all right? Now, do I like 5:30 a.m.? No, not really either. When you rectify a birth time, you can get down to like the nitty gritty. Now, I would say he has Venus in the 12th. So we're going to move him a little bit. Actually, if you look at this right here, Venus is in the 11th house. It's going into the 12th. You would still read it in the 12th, but I want it really in the 12th. So we're going to just kind of create, let me see. We're going to kind of mess around a little bit. I'm going to give him a 5:20 a.m. birth time. And that's okay. I don't know. If you're Shane, hit me up. Let me know. Let people know what your real birth time is so that we can really read you and get into it and expose you. Just kidding. Even if I don't know his midheaven, I can still read his chart. I still know he has a Cancer rising. I still know that the moon is his chart ruler. And we can see it will either fall in the 3rd or the 4th. Mostly, even if the Pisces midheaven happens, the moon would be right on the IC. I would say the moon's hanging out pretty close between the 3rd and the 4th house, meaning these are what he values the most. These are where he kind of lives his life. If he is a Cancer rising, he is going to be waking up as his Cancer, which fits because it's also his sun. So his double Cancer means he's very cancerous. You know what? Immediately, dude's an empath, 100%. Like he just is. He feels everything. He wears his heart up on his sleeve. He can tell what people are doing and he can tell what people are feeling. And he does carry that with him. Okay. I think he also has a very soft spot for people. He's got a Pisces North Node. Just the Pisces North Node, that is the dragon head energy. He's trying to devote his life to some bigger spiritual purpose. But the North Node can be kind of frightening because Pisces North Node can also be into neglecting one's health and boundaries, because the South Node, Virgo, where you are the most powerful, where you're the genius, not the most powerful. The North Node can be more powerful. The South Node is our genius. It's connected to that spiritual side of us. And if he loses that health, he can lose himself to other people, to a collective conscious. And so I would say that Shane is very influenced by other people's voices and their words. Does this mean that he cares about the influence or other people's voices? And I would say no. And you can kind of see this. Okay, so he's got moon with his South Node, moon K2. He's got moon in Virgo. He cares a lot about himself. The moon is this emotional needs. It's the part that you're going to go into, especially when it's your chart ruler. You're going to go into yourself. He goes into himself. He's highly introspective. He doesn't actually want people's advice. He's wanted their advice and he doesn't want their criticism. 5th house, Scorpio, with Pluto right there. The 5th house is where you create. Pluto being there, he's got a lot of power there. He's also secretive. He would much rather build something with nobody around than deliver it and then shut off the world, because it was through the creating that he found a piece of himself. It was through that he actually found what appears to be a lot of sexual identity. He gives his body to his work. I was thinking a little bit about Shane, and I know one of his biggest videos is when he came out as bisexual, which I feel like, looking at his chart, which this is a thing, okay? I'm going to tell you this, guys, like right now, if you're into chart reading, there's so many factors and indicators. It's better to work with someone than just judge their sexuality from a chart. What I would say though with Shane is that I think he's, and this is going to maybe sound weird, but I don't think it's that weird. I think he's sexually attracted to his work, to his art. He gets off on his art because it's everything to him. This is why he's changed it over time. He does understand the influence, what people want, and he gives it to them, but he doesn't care about the criticism later. He does feel like he really knows what you want from him because he's so invested in that. And that's why he doesn't like criticism. Because I've seen a lot of things on Shane and I watched his apology videos, and why do they look so fake? He doesn't want to do it. He just wants to put out his work. Okay, this is very obvious in his chart. Even without a lot of the houses that could be shifting. I mean, okay, let's look at this. He's got a T-square right now. He's got Mars and Aries, opposite Moon and Virgo, which those are a little bit of an out of sign opposition, but they're still in oppositional way. And then he's got this Uranus conjunct Saturn in Sagittarius as the apex of this. Okay, and this is right on the galactic center. Now, the galactic center is a huge birthplace of expansion and growth. It's actually can be considered the womb of all creation, where we came from, because it is this gigantic, supermassive black hole right where this galactic center is. And he has both Saturn and Uranus there. He has it giving him power and taking it away, also learning a lot of karmic lessons from the mother herself. The fact that 2020 came and gave him his biggest lesson ever, or yet, is an indicator of that, because 2020 was a lot about the mother, the woman, the feminine coming back. And you can see how he was impacted by that. Something else that was interesting, in 2019, Jupiter and Venus hit that exact space in November, which is right around the time he did The Beautiful Life of Shane Dawson, which would have meant that Jupiter and Venus was just anointing him in this place. You see, he has a finger of God, this pointy thing. Now, some people believe, and I just want to kind of teach you a little bit about astrology too. I get questions a lot, like people will be like, don't you see my finger of God? And it's because they have one of these green dotted lines. One green dotted line does not a finger of God make. It makes an inconjunct. Two of these pointing at the same planet makes a finger of God. It's an arrow pointing. The fact that this is both the apex of his chart, of his T-square, and the apex of his yod, or his finger of God, is huge. This is where everything happens for him. This is why he's here. He's here to point out something important to us, whether we want him to or not. And now I see, I'm kind of looking holy shit, something just popped out to me. He's also got Jupiter at 29 degrees Taurus and the Sun at 27 degrees Cancer, a part of this. Jupiter and Sun being his most beneficial planets, pointing to what are detrimental planets in a very powerful spot. Now, to explain really quickly, the finger of God, also known as the finger of fate, or the yod or yod, Y-O-D, is not the easiest thing to interpret. When I was a struggling astrologer just starting out, I asked a lot of seasoned astrologers to explain the yod to me, and they couldn't. It's hard because you have to take into consideration every planet, what they're doing in these inconjuncts and why they're pointing. But ultimately, the energy is that of almost a finger of fate or a finger of God pointing to one particular planet that will be that person's soul mission, what they have to do before they die in some way. There's a huge pull to it. The inconjunct themselves, the two inconjuncts that make up this yod, are actually very rebellious lines, rebellious aspects. They repel each other in a way, not like a challenge, like a square, and not like a seesaw, like an opposition. It's more like, this is happening and I'm against myself in this. So you see how he's got the Jupiter and the Sun right there? These are really good things happening, but they're pointing to things that are malefic. These planets are malefic, that are saying bad shit's gonna happen because of the good things that are happening. Now, they're all always going to swing back once that bad but also good part of that finger of God is completed. It will repel itself back. It does mean that there's no chance that Shane leaves forever. He just won't. He's on a mission to keep hitting that galactic center. He has Venus and Gemini, not exactly opposite. It's about 10 degrees opposite. It's not a part of this T-square. It doesn't create a grand cross by being equal, by squaring Mars and Moon, but it is opposite Saturn and Uranus enough, meaning this is sort of his out. His Venus in the 12th house in Gemini. Now, Venus in the 12th house is a very insecure part for Venus. Venus has a very hard time expressing itself in the 12th. It feels like shit a lot. You don't have Venus in the 12th, then get out unscathed. There is a chance he has Venus in the 11th, but I just don't see it. I really don't. Actually, I would see that even Venus would be thicker in the 12th, and Mercury could be closer to his rising too, if that was rectified better. Who knows? We're not here to rectify the chart right now, but I do feel that that's true. And I think that that's his out, is introspection and learning how to love himself. He's got a lot pushing him towards growth and a mission and feeling like he's bigger than he is. And the only way that he can break that need is to go off alone and to figure out what it's like to have value without the love of other people. If anything, he slingshot back into that energy by quitting. Will he come back? Yes. Like, this chart doesn't stop. He's never going to stop. He will keep doing things. He'll reach a point where he comes back and he still has an army of followers who will forgive him. Whether or not you feel good about that or you don't feel good about that, Shane's done something that has personally offended you, that has made you feel really, really awful. Do not watch him. Do not support him. Do not go near him. Don't mention his name. That is totally up to you. I'm not in control of your decisions, and I wouldn't try to influence them. But I will tell you, he's not gone forever, and he will never be. In this chart, there is so much energy to put himself out there, to expand who he is, and to change the things he does, and to keep creating. I don't think that he would ever go into, say, Hollywood and create a film, because he wouldn't want people looking over his shoulder. I do see that he could start to create his own production company and his own indie business with Saturn and Uranus and Sagittarius in the 6th house. Like, he will start to build this empire. He just needs money, and he has it. Fun fact, he got his money when that Jupiter-Venus conjunction at the end of November was on that Saturn-Uranus. So that tells me that he was anointed. It fell, but that Jupiter and Venus isn't something that will go away forever. It did something for him to really get him into his energy. And what that tells me is that he has not yet fully accomplished why he's here on Earth. Yeah, so that seems like something that he will do. I see him putting himself out there and trying to balance himself health-wise, because he can't put himself completely out in work and nurturing himself at the same time. He needs to take care of his body. He needs to take care of his health. If he doesn't, he loses himself and he's unhappy. He likes to be thinner, attractive. Obviously, he's got this Jupiter at 29 degrees Taurus up here, which can be a problem because Taurus likes to eat. 29th degree is a powerful degree. It can even be a lazy degree. It just understands Taurus so well, and Taurus is all of the pleasure senses. When Shane puts his energy and attention and his mind into something, I think he becomes fully immersed in that experience. Because of this, that's not something that you just stop because people don't want you to do it anymore. Why am I trying? I don't know why I'm trying. Like, I feel like I'm beating around the bush here. Like, if I say the wrong thing, then you might judge me for this, but I'm just letting you know he's not leaving forever. He took some time off to create more. He wants to create, and ultimately that's what he's going to do for whatever audience is left over for him. Hopefully he learns to love himself in these dark periods, and he doesn't need the love or attention from other people, because I believe that that attention and that love from other people drove him to do things that are even beyond what he wanted to do. And I'm not making excuses to him for him, but that is what is being shown to me in his chart. If he really wants to get out of that, where he can't just seem to stumble and do things that he is so not proud of, he can't be listening to the culture or the influence anymore. He has to be doing strictly what he's meant to do. What's his life path? Can we do math here? Oh, he was born on the 19th. For anybody born on the 19th, that is the hardest day to be born on, because you consist of both the 1 and the 9. It also makes sense why in 2019 he flourished, because he understood that energy. He's born on 8, 1. I'm so bad at math. He's a 7 life path. The 7 life path, we'll go into a little bit about Shane. The 7 life paths can come across as very cocky in their understanding of things. They can almost appear to gaslight very easily. They're ruled by Neptune, also by K2. It's a very spiritual number, but sometimes being a very spiritual person can make you actually forget about the feelings and the physical power of other people. And therefore you can steamroll and bulldoze over him. I can see Shane being a very hard person to work with unless you're close to him, which is also why I think in a little bit he is going to be blacklisted from working with other people, but it won't matter because he will do things on his own and independent of other people's help. He doesn't want to work with other people, and he doesn't have to. If he tries to work with other people, he's going to grow more and more enemies because of that energy. He also has the Capricorn on his descendant. Your 7th house or your descendant holds your open enemies. When you have a Capricorn there, you tend to have more open enemies than other people because there's a lot of karmic lessons there. The fact that Saturn's conjunct Uranus and Uranus sort of makes things a little bit crazier. You could say that here, there you go, a lot more open enemies. In fact, having that finger of God and that T-square also pointing at that Saturn and Uranus is like, hey, you were born to have these enemies. And a lot of times people who are born to have enemies are born for fame as well. Obviously, he's already showed that. He already has that. There's a lot of fame indicators in his chart in this one area of it. The 7th house is an open house. It's a public house. Even though it's a shadowed side, it's a darker side. That's a lot of the energy that's pulling to him too, is that this is your dark side, this is your shadow. You have to expose it to the public. People are going to spit on it, and you're going to have to deal with that. But if he chooses to cleanse himself and purify himself in a true way, and the way that only a 7 can, through spirituality and through isolation and growth, and not overworking themselves and not neglecting their own physical body and their own health, they can succeed. But also, they should never give people advice because it will always look self-righteous. Okay. That is Shane Dawson's chart reading. Again, if you are interested in discussing this chart reading further, join my Discord. You can talk to people about that. Again, $2 a month gets you in on that. I also want to thank my patrons. You guys have been helping me out so much that I actually have a new studio and a new office that I am going to be moving into this month. So if you're sick of this corner, don't dismay. New things are coming for this look. Again, I will see you tomorrow with another video, possibly in this series or another sort of astrological video. I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.